Hey everyone, my name is Alana and I am the product designer for authorization. Wanted to just record a walkthrough of the most recent solution validation work that we completed um, for viewing permissions on custom role. So to start off, let me just give you a little bit context of the problems that we were hoping to solve with this design. So currently, custom role permission detail lives under settings roles and permissions. This is only accessible by admins and group owners. So that means if you are not an admin or group owner, the experience that you have for viewing your custom role, you can go to the member page, see your own or maybe your team members um, row, and then hovering over the custom role, you'll see a description that is provided by the admin. This is not going to have enough detail for the collaboration that you need, or maybe understanding what you have or do not have access to. So we explored a few options, and the option that I proposed is this interaction where a user can click and see a drawer component that brings up either their member detail or a team member's member detail with the role, the base role that is linked out to documentation. These are our default roles, and then the specific custom permissions that are attached to that base role. With this, we had a few assumptions going in. So first of which is that with the proposed designs, participants will be able to complete the task successfully. So that is what I just showed, which is viewing the custom role. We also tested out what it would look like for functionality that exists in the member role detail page, like being able to edit a role. So additional to that, we have the role if you are an admin, you can change the role right here from the drawer details. So that was another one of the tasks, is to be able to see if admins are able to complete the task successfully of editing a member's role. We also assume that the view meets the user's requirements and expectations, and that admins or maintainers of groups understand how to edit a user's role. So the way that we designed the test plan was by using an unmoderated usability test. We split out the participants between administrators and non-administrators, have them imagine that they're part of a development team that uses GitLab, and they want to either understand their permissions or manage their team's permissions. To start off with, we asked some contextual questions just around how access is determined, how it's communicated, and if they don't have access, what did they then do? What did they use to gain more access? And on the flip side, for administrators, how do they ensure that they have the right access as well, that the users have the right access, as well as how do they communicate or how do they resolve access issues? The next part of the test is really having them go through the various tasks. Pretty simple. Viewing details of what you can and cannot do for an admin, changing the role. And then we also wanted to test, because today, if the member has an indirect membership, you can't actually, as a admin or a group owner, change that membership. There's kind of this weird workflow where you have to re-invite them as a direct member. So also using this drawer component as a way to provide that information. So looking to understand how users perceive that workflow of seeing that they can't actually change this role, but having that information provided for them right in the drawer detail. So with that, let me walk through the results. So TLDR is that overall the feedback for the proposed view that I just walked through is positive, and it meets the user's expectations. Some direct feedback includes simple and pleasant. We tested the proposed view for editing functionality, and that tested successfully, but not as successful for the inherited sort of role change here. Here's the task completion breakdown. So viewing own role, 100% of non-admins were able to complete it. For admins, only 80% completed it. One participant attempted to actually click on the profile to view more details about what they have access to and do not have access to. So that was an interesting kind of finding there. Other observations from how participants tested with this prototype is some of them wanted to almost click the entire row. That is a good signal for us because we in the future want to be able to use this drawer to house additional data and things that you can do from the member page. So having that interaction be almost like what a user would naturally do is actually a really good signal for some of the future work that we want to do on the member page. We also asked them to relay the details of access. They were able to understand the hierarchy of information that are presented here and was able to actually click. I think one participant noted that maybe having a little bit more of a visual difference between the guests or like the specific role would be helpful. So that's something to explore. But really, the recommendation is we can move forward with this interaction of having the custom role detail view using the drawer. In the future iteration, we should also have default roles as part of this, but developing the description for what a developer role is, as opposed to asking users to then click into documentation to view the additional details of the permission. The second task that we tested is the editing a role. So 100% of administrators were able to complete this. In terms of ones with inherited or what we're calling indirect access, only 60% were able to complete this task. For editing a role where the membership and the source is pretty straightforward, they have a direct membership, that interaction met their expectations. But for use cases wherein an admin is attempting to change the role of someone whose role is inherited, this is a little bit more complicated. A participant actually expected a follow-up notification to confirm changes after clicking save. So the recommendation is to move forward with moving editing access to a drawer for users, include a follow-up toast notification. And then for editing indirect source role changes, the proposed view in terms of having the information show here is helpful, but we want to be the ideal scenario would be that the system you can just do it pretty directly. Like you could just change their role, whether that means changing the source or whatever. So exploring the possibility of admins being able to directly change roles for those with inherited roles. The other section of the solution validation is all of the insights that we gained from the context question. So takeaway really here is that we revalidated all of the assumptions and like some of the research that we had previously for how we understand what's important to admins and non-admins and what their actual journey is for gaining and granting access. So I'll just call out a few things here. So admins determine access typically by role, job function. So that's our RBAC system. Admins abide by principles of least privilege, and they use auditing as well as manual testing to be able to ensure that the roles are appropriately set up for meeting those requirements. Communication is done in various forms. If a company has this form of communication, they're probably using it. So, but access-wise, they use onboarding emails and rely actually on an app to be able to communicate some of the access details that is needed. So this chunk of work is actually pretty good because they do rely on the application to be able to communicate some of the permission details. When there's access requests, this is typically done through email, Slack, or a ticketing system. I think important takeaways that for empathy for the admins, they really want a fast resolution. So the more information that we can give them that is available to them through the app, the better that they can service their team that is requesting that access. Non-admins understand pretty much that they are given limited access. So if they see something that is not as expected, they'll go through some self-research and go through the internal system for access requests. So that wraps up the walkthrough of the solution validation. Again, my name is Alana Pilates. If you have any questions, feel free to add a comment on this issue. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Thank you so much.